And thank you to CBS for the highlight and the win by former ASU star Jon Rahm at the Masters, which brings us now to our guest. It's always great when we have a chance to talk golf with Tom Lehman, PGA Champions Tour player, also, by the way, the 1996 British Open champion. Tom, it's Jimmy B and Manooch. I'll just fire this one at you right off the top. Where were you on Rahm's performance for the entire tournament? The weather, the slow play, everything that was involved, and then closing it out on Sunday.
Boy, he was tough. He just did everything right. I mean, I watched quite a bit of the tournament, and even though Koepka got off to a fast start, Rahm just was there, and he stayed there, and he just kept on grinding away. And when Koepka made a mistake, he picked up a shot, and before you know it, he just blew right past him. So from start to finish, easily the best performance of anybody out there to win by 4. But he just was impressive, so impressive.
Tom, interesting that Sunday was like a 12-hour day. I mean, long day. Finish up the third round, and up some of the holes from a previous day. And how grinding or how grueling can that be? Is it more focus and concentration, or what is it about that Rahm did that at such a long day?
Well, of course, we've all been through that. I mean, we've played 36-hole final rounds, 27 in majors. I mean, so it's not like it hasn't been done before. It has, but it takes a lot of willpower. It takes a lot of just so much focus. And I think that I kind of felt like things were going to go Rahm's way when at the end of the third round, there was a point when I think the coverage went off and Koepka had a 4-shot lead, and by the time that third round was over, it was only a 2-shot lead. Mm-hmm. And I kind of felt like him giving back 2 shots at the very end of the round were huge shots to give away. And of course, he just kept on giving them away as the fourth round started. And likewise, Rahm just a few putts and hit a few bad shots and made a few bogeys himself, but he kind of righted the ship to finish his round, and Koepka gave a couple back, and before you know it, the momentum had totally swung his way. So it just, that kind of happens in long days. And, in these long days, if you really get on a roll, you can just clean the tables with everybody. You can just, you can make up so much ground. And likewise, if things start going poorly like they did for Koepka, it's hard to kind of pull it back together again.
All right, a guy who's played that course, I want to pick your brain on this. We went from extreme conditions and wet conditions on Sunday morning, and the greens were rolling slow. Then when they came out then for the final round, the sun had come out, the wind was up a little bit, the greens started to dry, and they started to pick up. Pace, how difficult is it for a player then to make those adjustments on the fly?
I didn't really think that maybe the guys were talking about afterwards that the greens were getting faster. That possibly could be. But they certainly were all holding well all day long. I mean, just there's, from the start to finish, they were like somewhat, at least for Augusta, throwing darts. I mean, you could fly the ball right to the hole. The ball was stopping quickly. And I think more than anything that helped to make the things a little bit easier, even if the greens were faster. But I tell you what, the morning when that rain was coming down and pouring so hard, those guys had to finish. And that was really the true test of grit. And that's where I say, Rahm really held it together as he at one time was down by 4 and he managed to pick up 2 by the time that day was over, simply because he managed that downpour like a champion. And it was not easy, not easy at all. But I guarantee you they would rather have a little bit of wind than that downpour of rain.
Talk about, you're talking about Rahm, how steady she goes. Well, it seemed like Koepka couldn't put back-to-back shots together or back-to-back good holes together. And then once he'd had those shots, he couldn't get the putter going. Do you think that third round, losing that 4-stroke lead on the mental side, affected him somewhat, Tom?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to remember how it all worked out. I mean, I just, they had to finish play on Sunday morning.
Right.
But they also had to finish play on Saturday, morning and afternoon. And, so just to see, it just seemed to me that at that stage of the game where you had to be the toughest, which to me was, actually I think it was when they were finishing the second round, if I'm maybe not mistaken, is is when they were playing in that heavy downpour.
Yes.
And Rahm just held it together, and and then Koepka lost a couple of shots in the third. I mean, you could just feel that the tide swinging. A lot of times when you're playing great golf like Koepka was, and everything goes your way, and you're doing nothing wrong, and then suddenly something happens and you start making a few mistakes. It gets a little bit tougher, and then the mistakes are happening more frequently. What went from perfect golf to less than perfect golf, ends up really, kind of killing you in the end. Whereas Rahm just seemed to play that steady game the whole way. Boy, he never let off the gas pedal, and just he kept the pressure on, and all the way through the tournament. And to me, it was incredibly impressive to watch.
He was sensational. Where are you on slow play? We heard that a lot after the tournament was over. We even saw Victor Hovland hit shots before Cantlay was even going to get to the ball after he went through his warm-ups. I'm just curious, as a professional, you on slow play?
Yeah, well, no one likes it, and it gets pretty aggravating, especially if you're in the hunt. I mean, if you're in the hunt and somebody's making you wait, it's really ridiculous. I recall one tournament in San Diego a few years ago when there was a golfer. It took him 5 minutes to hit his second shot on the 18th hole, and he was 2 shots behind, and the guys who were leading were tied, and they were playing with him. So he made the leaders wait for 5 minutes to hit a shot. To me, they should just walk out and slap 2 on you right then and there. It's just ridiculous.
I'm with you 100%.
Maybe that'd be like baseball. You put the time clock on you.
Need a pitch clock.
But it's interesting. You talk about Jon Rahm. He never really, I don't know if he'd have mentioned it or not, but Brooks Koepka did kind of talk about it afterwards and what have you about the slow play. But seeing that with Rahm, as you mentioned, Tom, being in that zone of just staying focused, whether you got to wait 2 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. But it seemed though as things were starting to go south for Koepka, that those little irritable things that you talked about were starting to bother him.
Yeah, well, Koepka is a really fast player. He's very quick. I give him a lot of credit for that. He doesn't waste too much time, and but Rahm is not exactly like he's not a glacial plate shift out there.
3 minutes.
Guys can be. He may not be the fastest guy, but he's not the slowest either. But it's always the guys who are the fast players who get the most upset. Obviously, they get sick and tired of waiting, and that's no fun. And if a guy's playing slow, they need to be warned and get them moving, and typically they do. I just sports is so incredible to me just because of the momentum shifts, and like you say, when that I think it was the end of the third round, when Rahm had that was 4 back with just a couple holes to play, and ended up like 2 back after the third round was over. That I remember one year, the year that I almost won, I did almost the same exact thing. I missed a really short birdie putt on the 17th hole, about a 3-footer, so I kind of gave one away there, and then I bogeyed the last hole and gave one away there, and ended up being tied for the lead with Olafaba going into the final round. Whenever I look back on it, I think about those 2 shots.
2 minutes
at the end of the third round, which just kind of killed my momentum and made it a lot tougher on Sunday. Even though I, shot even par, I do feel like momentum does carry over, and when you throw away some shots at the end of when you have a big lead like that, and you actually kind of bring guys back into the hunt a little bit, that's difficult. And the last thing I would say though also is nobody within range of Koepka or Rahm played with a hoot on Sunday. I mean, there's nobody who was like 6 and 7 under par who went out and played a great round. There was nobody who even challenged them. So it was really a 2-man show. And, Phil made it interesting by shooting 65 and getting to 8 under, but you would think that somebody who was 6 or 7 under or 5 under may go out and shoot, 5 or 6 under and, make a game of it. Nobody did, that was, I think, quite a bit surprising to me.
I'll give you 30 seconds. What'd you think of the TV numbers? If you haven't seen them, over 16 million people watched the end of the third round and then, of course, the final round on Sunday.
Is that good or bad?
That's great.
That's damn good.
That's damn good.
Okay, well, I'm glad because it should be great. I think it was a very compelling tournament. It was a very strange tournament because of the weather, but because they had everything. They had perfect weather for 2 days, and then they had really crappy weather for an afternoon and a morning, and then then a nice final round. It was they kind of had it all. But again, I just think Rahm has proven to be one of the toughest guys out there mentally, and he proved it once again.
By the way, it was great for me, Tom. I gave the guys in the lab Easter Sunday off. I must be getting soft in my old age, but I gave them Easter Sunday off. Nice to sit there and watch the Masters, watch the Suns, watch XFL football. Hell, I thought I'd gone to heaven there for about a half a second. Yeah, when there's nothing going on in between games, you turn over to XFL football. But
there you go. All right.
Hey, Tom. Hey, thanks so much. Appreciate it. We'll track you down as the Champions PGA Tour gets underway, and you get your groove on out there.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you as always, Tom. Have a great day, pal. There you go, Tom Lehman. Always great when he comes on the show, and I love listening to his analysis. Man, oh man.